Other things not discussed by K-pop supergroup BTS. Anti-Asian hate in the United States is disproportionately black on Asian. It is not white people who are hate.
What? Why does that matter? I don't get that. It's like, hey, I know you want to talk about hate crimes against Asian Americans, but have you mentioned that not all of the hate crimes were committed by white people? Did you know that? Did you know that it's not always white people who commit the hate crimes? In fact, in this case, sometimes it's black people. That doesn't make it okay. None of that is okay. It doesn't matter who is committing the hate crimes. What is wrong with you? Okay, if you didn't know, BTS, a popular K-pop group from Korea, was recently in the White House to talk about anti-Asian racism, to fight Asian racism and Asian discrimination, as well as the rise in Asian hate crimes that have been taking place in the United States. I don't know how anyone could take a problem with that unless you happened to not like Joe Biden so much that you have to find an angle on it. But I guess the conservatives have now decided they want to make BTS their enemy number one, which from a political strategist standpoint seems very foolish, because I don't know if they understand how both the internet and fandoms work, if they've never actually seen the wrath before. And again, I don't want to ever incur the wrath, so I will say that we are very pro BTS in this stream. You can see, all right. I played BTS at the start of the stream. We have paid tribute, okay, to the BTS army.
And it's just an absolute complete joke.
Is there anything more destructive than white guilt? It feels like it's hurt more people than nuclear weapons.
Is there anything more destructive than white guilt? It feels like it's hurt more people than nuclear weapons. White guilt is at its worst cringe, I guess, if it's performative. If you've got people who are just like kneeling during Black Lives Matter protests and trying to absolve themselves of their whiteness and saying we're sorry, or if they want to go sign up for an organization that will take reparation funds to remove their whiteness, things like that. Yeah, that's cringe. It's very cringy. It's not actually helping the material conditions of black people in any way. It's performative nonsense. But I don't think that's worse than nuclear bombs.
It really has, and people are starting to see that. Even Patrice.
It really has. Known historian, Candace Owens.
Colors, right? The person who started Black Lives Matters basically said, well, it's not my fault that you guys gave me your white guilty dollars and I lied about what I did with it and bought myself an entire real estate empire. And that's the truth. So it's not just black Americans that need to have an awakening.
Was that verbatim?
It's white Americans. You know, you have to stop allowing people to manipulate you emotionally and tell you that you're a bad person just because you're born a certain color. And hopefully we're going to start to see that as we head into this election cycle.
People who hate themselves are not good leaders. Weak men.
Oh, are we going to get the Nazi?
And unhappy women.
I agree.
Oh, I thought he was going to do the whole hard men create good times. Good times create soft men. Soft men create hard times. And so the cycle continues. It goes in, it's kind of like a pinwheel, just like slightly askew. Kind of with like, you understand, and the symbol that, yeah, okay, you get that. By the way, this kind of got brought up a little bit in the debate with Adam and Sitch. I was correct in thinking, because I was reading the chat afterwards, and boy, the chat just went full on wild at me for trying to suggest that there are different forms of oppression, that broadly speaking, you probably aren't oppressed for being white in society. In that debate, I was talking pretty extensively about how, broadly speaking, you can be oppressed for a lot of things if you're a white person. You can be oppressed based on poverty. You can be oppressed based on the working conditions. You can be oppressed based on your family structure. If you had abusive parents, all that kind of stuff, all a variety of oppression. But most likely, you're not going to also, in addition to that, be oppressed for being white. Whereas all those things could be the exact same and true for a black person. But in addition to that, they could also be oppressed for being black, broadly speaking, in society. And then once I said that, I noticed the chat was just lighting up with like, Lance better put on his robe because he's basically a KKK anti-white racist, you know, all this kind of stuff. They've been really indoctrinated for a while on the right, broadly speaking, and this is why the CRT hysteria works so well, into thinking that there is somehow a lesson that's trying to be taught by progressives or the left or whatever you want to call it, that you should feel guilty for being white. That you should feel bad for being white. You bad white people, you. How dare you? How dare you be born white? Don't you know that you've been born a racist? Don't you know that there's racist white babies? Have you not seen that? Have you not seen how time is racist? Yes, time itself is racist, which is all nonsense, right? You should not feel bad for being white in any way, shape, or form, and no one should be telling you that. I don't know. Do we need to start doing like, it's okay, white people, you're beautiful and you're loved. Here, have some candy, have some cookies. You're wonderful. You're great. Also, society, broadly speaking, is structured in such a way, and we reinforce these things based on the fact that we all live in a society, TM, where we will treat people differently based on things that we've made up. We invented them. Things like race. We've characterized and categorized people into different categories based on arbitrary nonsense, such as how much melanin do you have in your skin? And based on that, we're going to treat you potentially differently. That's society, broadly speaking. So that's a bad thing. And to all, again, you wonderful, lovely, beautiful white people who are all wonderful and lovely and awesome, we should fight to destroy that, to end that system, because that system fucking sucks. It's damaging. It's damaging to everybody. We should look towards smashing these systems down. We want to stop them, you know? And the same thing applies to patriarchy. Patriarchy, broadly speaking, isn't something you would assume is bad for men. Doesn't it just sound like it gives men all the advantages in the world? But it directly harms men. We're going to talk more about this later, but it's a very shitty system. So we have to smash the patriarchy as well. And I'm saying that to, you know, my fellow men. You're wonderful. Dudes rock. You're beautiful. Have some cookies. Have some candy. You're great. And broadly speaking, we should smash the patriarchy. So maybe that's going to be my new way going forward, you know? Here it is. Yeah. We all know why we are here. I just want to say you are very brave talking about all this on Twitch. An account ban would be the least of your concerns. The Illuminati symbol. I have flown way closer to the sun for bans for, I think, nudity than anything else. People will just... they'll randomly send me things like, Lance, this is hilarious. And I'm like, oh, let's watch. And then it's like, whoa, there's a couple titties on camera. Well, we're fucked now. Hi, Lost. Everyone go to Lost, SIOUX's channel. Really good indigenous content creator. Also, by the way, Ben Shapiro has decided to wage war against BTS and K-pop in general. So, BTS Army, this is your new target right here. This is the face of someone who hates BTS. Look at him. Stare at him. Look.
Biden administration, when they're truly desperate, they bring in the influencers. So the Biden White House welcomed a Korean pop group called BTS. Now, I'm only aware that BTS exists because I'm on Twitter. And the BTS stans are like all over Twitter. They have an enormous fan base. I've never heard of this group, really, except for that. I've never listened to any of their music. I don't know if they're good. I don't know anything about them. All I know is that Joe Biden also doesn't know anything about them. Okay, the chances that Joe Biden is like a big BTS fan is ridiculous. Also, if you're talking about anti-Asian hate in the United States, typically what you would do is bring in an Asian group from the United States, right? Instead, he's bringing...
What a weird thing to say. What an odd thing to say. I think the purpose of this was to, broadly speaking, bring a lot of attention to this topic. What better way to do that than to grab one of the most popular musical groups in the world? And so, yeah, I agree with you here, Ben. I don't think Joe Biden in his free time is listening to BTS any more than you are. That may be true. But I think BTS becoming spokespeople for this is very valuable. It's going to have now the millions and millions and millions of their fans suddenly become more self-aware of the fact that there is a rise of Asian hate crimes that are occurring both in the United States and Canada, and have been accelerating ever since basically Donald Trump, I would say in a lot of ways, pushing that xenophobic nonsense, talking about how the Chinese flu, the Kung flu and all that kind of stuff, it came from China, so, you know, the Chinese people are diseased, all that kind of shit. I can speak to my area, Vancouver. We had a huge increase in hate crimes towards Asian people, and the most fucked up thing about that is that they've done this thing where they're lumping them all together. The same thing happened to like brown people post 9/11. Like all of a sudden, people who were sick, or people who are from India that have nothing or aren't Muslim are suddenly getting accused of being terrorists all over the place. So now in Vancouver, people who are Korean, Japanese, were being called Chinese, people who are from Taiwan, people who are even from the Philippines. Again, it's racism, and it is a problem. It should be addressed. It should be called out, and that's why it's probably a good thing that BTS became the voice of this.
In a Korean pop group, my understanding is that they are from South Korea and that is where they live and perform. I'm not aware that BTS is actually an American group in any way. But basically, all this is an excuse to, hey, look at this really popular group. Let's bring these people in. Let's put them behind a podium at the White House. And let's have them talk about anti-Asian hate. Well,
Yeah. Yes. So more people learn about it. Kind of a good strategy, I would think.
There are a few things they weren't talking about at the anti-Asian hate conference at the White House, which was, again, just an excuse for Joe Biden to be with the influencers, which is him cribbing off of Barack Obama's play sheet. Right? This is something that Barack Obama used to do routinely. It was like, well, I'm a little bit of political.
First off, Donald Trump brought celebrities over, but just usually not for causes. Usually just because it's Donald Trump and he likes his celebrities. But also, Donald Trump had a lot of trouble at one point or another reaching out to celebrities, if you don't recall. Because a lot of people were like, well, you're kind of like a neo-fascist asshole, accused rapist. I don't know if I really want to hang out with you in the White House right now. It doesn't sound that great. But hey, he did bring Kanye West over there. Kanye West came, and they politicized that meeting. You didn't have too many complaints there, Ben.
Trouble. What if we just have like a bunch of Hollywood?
Yeah, Nixon had fucking Elvis. This is not a new thing. This is not new in any way, shape, or form.
Stars to the White House and take some selfies with them. So Joe Biden is trying to do that now, but trying to pretend that this is a real policy discussion that's happening with the K-pop supergroup BTS. A few things that were not discussed. One, this administration's overt policy, which is that Asians should not be admitted to higher education with the same scores as black students or scores that significantly exceed those of black students at universities like Harvard. That
is that official policy? I didn't know. When did Biden enact that? That seems strange.
The explicit policy of this administration. Anti-Asian discrimination is the explicit educational policy of this administration. That was something that was not discussed by K-pop supergroup BTS because, after all, why would they? Other things not discussed by K-pop supergroup BTS. Anti-Asian hate in the United States is disproportionately black on Asian. It is not white people who are hate.
Wait, what? Why does that matter? I don't get that. It's like, hey, I know you want to talk about hate crimes against Asian Americans, but have you mentioned that not all of the hate crimes were committed by white people? Did you know that? Did you know that it's not always white people who commit the hate crimes? In fact, in this case, sometimes it's black people. That doesn't make it okay. None of that is okay. It doesn't matter who is committing the hate crimes. What is wrong with you?
On Asian people, it is disproportionately black on Asian, particularly in America's major cities like New York.
Yeah, okay, that's a bad thing. That should be called out. You're just being a really weird about this. I don't get why you have to frame it all of a sudden. It's like, yeah, but he won't talk about who is committing the hate crimes. Again, sometimes it's not white people.
That was not discussed at all. The reason it wasn't discussed is because it violates the intersectional philosophy of this administration. Instead, it's America, broad writ, has an anti-Asian hate problem, et cetera, which is kind of wild. So what was this?
It's still bad even when it's a South Asian talking to an East Asian or vice versa. Yes, agreed in every way, shape, or form.
It's really about, was it really about Joe Biden combating anti-Asian hate? Of course not. It's about Joe Biden bringing in a very popular group and then trying to sort of draft off of their popularity. It ain't gonna work. It's really,
and like if a South Asian person committed a hate crime against a black person, that's bad too. These are like this should be a universal thing. We just want to end hate crimes, not just specifically the ones that are committed by white people.
Silly. That's not a rip on BTS. I'm sure that BTS is more than happy to fight anti-Asian hate, I would imagine.
Ooh, choosing his words carefully there. It's too late. It's too late, Ben. This is out there now. Everyone knows. You've opened a Pandora's box of which you have no idea. No, all of you. You, Tucker, Candace Owens, every single one of you now who's chosen BTS as your enemies. Oh my. This will not end well.
That given the opportunity to go to the White House and talk about this, why wouldn't they do it? It's a rip on Biden, who's obviously a geriatric dotard who has no clue who these people are, but he's been told by his...
How do you do, fellow kids, as I use terms like geriatric dotard?
Advisors that we better get these influences over here because maybe they'll get a lot of young people very excited about politics if we get BTS to discuss anti-Asian hate.
Well, there you have it, everybody. So, officially, I would say as of now, they have drawn a line in the sand. And let them not let them not forget this, okay? Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Ben Shapiro officially declared war on BTS, officially declared war on K-pop. They've declared themselves to be enemies of both K-pop and BTS, and they should be treated online accordingly.
Do you enjoy the Serfs but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs? Many are saying this. Well, we've got the solution for you. It's the Serf Times in podcast form, available on most major podcasting networks now. If you enjoy it, please consider leaving a good review and feedback because it really helps the show out, apparently, and it's free, just like the podcast.
To our gods, Xander Corvus and Peyton L. Just, we are prepared to embark on a mighty jihad in your name. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, we are but your humble jester, attempting in vain to get you to laugh. To our valiant knights of the Round Table, Benji Arnie, Tech Tink, Scary Earth Human, Tony, DM Rivera, Resident Scarecrow, Sir Nickus, Mayred, Cheryl Alvarez, Ruby Kelly, Brandon, Words Greenwood. It doesn't matter what I believe, it only matters what I can prove. Egbert Celine, Matthew Scarborough, Stellar Vision, Ariane McCarthy, Daniel Sutton, Coulter Smith, Jenna Tao, Quiet 185, Anna Loves Riley, Omni, Riley and Anna, Poodlehawk, The Tim Caucus, Multimondi, Trevbot, EXE, Brian Ephraim, Lemmy 101, Anthropophojack, Saren 42, Catherine, Ramon Acosta, Incosin, Agent NDN, Violent Orchard, Political Puppy, La Media Panza, Zach Christensen, Todd Buckingham, and Todd Lajeunesse. We raise our mugs and salute our brave heroes off to another glorious conquest.